Picture this. You're sitting at your kitchen table at 11 p.m. on a Wednesday night. You've just finished a calculation you've been putting off for months, your actual net worth. Not the "I think I'm doing okay" number, but the real one. Assets minus debts. And for the first time in your life, the number staring back at you has 6 digits. $100,000. You feel a brief surge of adrenaline. You've spent the last several years grinding, skipping the DoorDash habit that was quietly costing you $4,200 a year, and maybe driving a paid-off Corolla while your coworkers financed BMWs. You've officially crossed the threshold of what Charlie Munger called the hardest part of personal finance. The first $100,000 is a pain, but you got to do it. But here is what nobody tells you about this moment. This is the most dangerous point in your financial life. Because right now, your brain is starting to whisper that you deserve something nice. It's whispering that you've earned an upgrade, that you can finally stop living like a broke college student. And that whisper is exactly what separates the people who retire with $3 million from the people who work until they're 70. My name is Zen, and today we're talking about exactly what to do and, more importantly, what not to do once you hit that $100,000 milestone. Because there are only two things that happen next. Either you turn this $100,000 into a snowball that makes work optional in your 50s, or you incinerate it, trying to look successful to people you don't even like. Let's look at the math that your HR department and your car dealer hope you never see. Part 1. The math of the snowball. The reason $100,000 is the magic number isn't because of the status. It's because of the physics of money. If you save $10,000 a year at a 7% return, it takes you about 7.8 years to hit that first $100,000. That's nearly a decade of sacrifice. But here's where it gets weird. The second $100,000 only takes 5.1 years. The fifth $100,000. That takes under 3 years. The first $100,000 eats up about 25% of your entire journey to becoming a millionaire, even though it only represents 10% of the final goal. You've done the heavy lifting. You've been the engine. But at $100,000, your money starts to develop its own pulse. At this level, a 7% return generates $7,000 a year without you lifting a finger. That's your groceries and your utilities paid for by a full-time employee who never shows up late and never asks for a raise. You've moved from level 4, where you're just surviving the house and car squeeze, to level 5, where the hardest part is almost over. But most people fail here because they don't understand lifestyle inflation. Part 2. The wealth killer in your driveway. The moment you hit $100,000, the respectability trap kicks in. You feel successful, so you think you need a car that matches that success. Here is the brutal reality. Cars are depreciating assets disguised as necessities. The average car payment in America is now over $700 per month. If you take that $100,000 you worked so hard for and use a chunk of it for a down payment on a luxury SUV with a $700 monthly bill, you haven't just bought a car. You've committed financial suicide. If you invested that $700 a month into a boring index fund, averaging 8% instead, you'd have over $800,000 after 30 years. The person driving the 10-year-old Honda Civic, who is maxing out their retirement, accounts as building more wealth than the person in the brand new BMW. Don't be average. The average person is choosing a used car today over $500,000 in 3 decades. If you want to be wealthy, you have to do the opposite of what most people do. You drive the Corolla, you keep your housing costs under 28% of your income, and you let that $100,000 compound. Part 3. The boring investment strategy. Once you have $100,000, everyone starts looking for ways to juice their returns. They think they need something sophisticated, like a hedge fund or a hot crypto tip from their Uber driver. Stop. This is where people destroy themselves. your strategy should stay incredibly boring. First, if you have any hintiest debt left, anything over 7%, kill it. You are paying a guaranteed 22% on a credit card to earn a potential 10% in the market. That is mathematically volunteering to lose money. Next, ensure your emergency fund is solid. At $100,000 net worth, you likely have more obligations. You need 6 months of essential expenses sitting in a boring FDIC-insured high-yield savings account earning 4% or 5%. It's not dead money. It's insurance that keeps you from selling your stocks when the market drops 30%. Then, you max out your Roth IRA for 2026. That's about $7,500. Because everything that grows inside is tax-free forever. If you put $7,500 in today, at age 25, by age 65, it's worth $339,000, and you won't owe the government a single cent in capital gains. Inside that Roth, and in your taxable brokerage account, you buy broad index funds, like VU or VTI. They track the entire market for a 0.03% fee. You don't need to find the next Apple. The smart people at 500 companies are already working for you. Your only job is to not interfere. Part 4. The power of saying no. This is the part of the $100,000 milestone that nobody discusses. Leverage. When you have $0, you have to say yes to everything. You say yes to the 60-hour work week, yes to the toxic boss, and yes to the dry promotion where they give you a new title but no extra pay. But $100,000 gives you the ability to say no. Think about the promotion trap. Let's say you're offered a VP role that bumps your salary from $90,000 to $130,000. It sounds like a win. But, after taxes, lifestyle, inflation, and the cost of physically showing up for 15 extra hours a week, your promotion premium might only be $2.18 per hour. You are giving back 19.5 full work weeks of unpaid labor every year to the company. With $100,000 saved, you can choose to be like Jordan instead of Blake. Blake took every promotion, has a $520,000 mortgage, and is eating dinner standing over the sink at 8:30 p.m. because he's trapped by his own salary. Jordan said no to the last 2 promotions. She works 40 hours, earns $98,000, and is making pasta at 6:15 p.m. because she controls her schedule. Jordan has more in her 401k because she didn't spend her raises before they arrived. She has options. $100,000 is the beginning of your freedom fund. It's the point where you stop being a job that has a person and start being a person who has a job. Part 5. Avoiding the house poor. Trap. Many people hit $100,000 and immediately think it's time to buy the forever home. In 2025, the housing market is a minefield. People are obliterating the 28% rule, spending 50% of their income on a mortgage just to build equity. But when you're house poor, you aren't building wealth. You're locked in a narrow corridor of survival. You have plenty of money for the mortgage, but nothing for the $10,000 roof repair or the $8,000 HVAC replacement. You can't invest, you can't save, and you can't quit a bad job because you're one missed paycheck away from catastrophe. If you use your $100,000 to over-leverage yourself into a house you can barely afford, you've just traded your liquid freedom for golden handcuffs. The wealthy approach lifestyle upgrades like chess players. They ask, if I upgrade my housing now, how many years does that delay my financial independence? Sometimes, renting a cheaper place and investing the difference is the more financially sound decision. Asterisk. The gap between the person who retires at 60 with $4 million and the person who is still working at 70 to pay a mortgage doesn't open up at the end of the journey. It opens right now. It opens in the small moments. Choosing the used Camry over the luxury truck. Saying no to the promotion that kills your weekends. Staying invested in boring index funds when the market drops 30%. Your $100,000 is a test. Can you be boring for 2 more decades while everyone around you tries to be clever? The people who build real wealth aren't smarter than you. They're usually engineers, teachers, or accountants who invested consistently in extremely boring places and never touched it. 79% of millionaires received 0 inheritance. Dumb things everyone else was doing. If you've hit $100,000, congratulations. You've built the engine. Now, your only job is to stay out of its way. Don't buy the car. Don't buy too much house. Don't get clever with your stocks. Open the Roth IRA, buy the index fund, set up the automatic contributions, and then go live your life while compound interest does what it's been doing for a century, quietly making patient, boring people wealthy while everyone else stays broke, trying to be interesting. If this math changed how you think about your next move, hit subscribe. And if you're wondering what your specific net worth level means for your future, check out the link in the bio to join our community. I'll see you in the next one.